186. Let's get to another random selection, which is Baywatch, the movie from 2017, which is directed by Seth Gordon, stars Dwayne Johnson, Zac Efron, Alexander Daddario. And the synopsis is devoted lifeguard Mitch Buchanan butts heads with a brash new recruit as they uncover a criminal plot that threatens the future of the Bay. So I remember when this one came out, it was one of those films that I feel like no one asked for, as mean as that might be to say, but it's like one of those things that I don't mind that it exists, or someone said, hey, Baywatch is this goofy TV show. Let's try and turn it into something modern, into a blockbuster. Let's see what we can do. That's fine. I think there are worse creative choices out there. And considering that the plot or lack thereof of the original content is so lacking that you can do whatever you want with it. So it's pretty much a blank slate. But I didn't get around to seeing this one until I think it came out on Blu-ray, maybe 6 months to a year after it came out. And this was my second viewing of it. And I know it didn't do very well financially, to not my surprise at all, considering what I just said, where I think if you asked most, especially the younger summer movie-going audience, most people are not going to have an idea what Baywatch is, what makes it funny, why is it so goofy. It's purely going to be who is in this movie, and it's a comedy. I guess I'll go. That's really the only draw. And I think overall it's okay. It's not horrible, as I think some people made it out to be, but it's definitely not that good and not nearly as good as it could be. The Rock and Zac Efron work well together. I've really come to love Zac Efron in movies. I think he's really grown as an actor, and he has a lot of variety and a lot of range. And The Rock, I'm never upset to see him in a movie. I don't think he's amazing in this, but he has a decent presence, a good charisma, chemistry. The rest of the cast, I like Alexandra Daddario, so there's no one bad, I think, in it at all. But that's really the extent of the strengths of it. I think it looks okay overall. I like the beach setting, but there's just so much, and it reminds me a little bit of the new Roadhouse film with Jake Gyllenhaal, where the plot is just so overly complicated, overbaked. I think the unrated version is over 2 hours. That is offensively bad. It should be, no matter what the plot is, for this kind of movie, for this kind of blockbuster, it should be 90 to 100 minutes at most. Because especially on rewatch, there were points where I remembered so little about it from the first time. There were multiple times where I was thinking, how is this still going on? Like, how are we not done yet? So the runtime is shameful, to be real. Another thing that I noticed even from first time is the effects. I'll give it a little bit of a slide considering the very B grade nature of the source material, let's call it. But the effects in this, where the one I think of the most is it's like a boat or a yacht explosion out on the ocean, and it looks so bad. The effects it looks like it was done for a TV movie, where the explosion, the boat itself looks so fake, like unusually fake for a Hollywood movie that has a decent budget, for sure. This was not a cheap movie at all. I don't know if that was just them saying, we know this is goofy, here's a goofy explosion, or it was the studio saying, we're out of money, do your best, or they just didn't care. One or the other, I'm not sure, but not a big detractor for me. And there is plenty of people running around in swimsuits, skimpy swimsuits, both men and women, which iconic with the original Baywatch, of course. Also, I know that Zac Efron recently came out and said that because he is ripped in this beyond belief, like he is probably the best physique he's ever had in movies, even at this point. But I know that he said, I'll never go on that regimen again because I think, for one, they're having him take diuretics to get all of the excess fluid out of his body. So everything looked even more defined and ripped, which that shows on screen, but you could only imagine how rigorous and, I'm guessing, uncomfortable it was to be in that shape, and especially if you're having to take diuretics for a movie. That just sounds very unpleasant. Besides that, the humor itself, not only the style and subject of the movie feels dated, but a lot of the humor, there are some things I find funny for sure, but the humor does, in some ways, not in a good way, feel not very modern, where it's just a lot of fat jokes and like body shaming and things like that, where it's hard to fully just let that slide, especially with how often it's injected in. Although one moment, and it sucks that it's the last moment of the movie, that shows you the laziness of the writing and I guess just the overall production, where in the original Baywatch, there's the slow-mo people running on the beach, you know, in the swimsuits, and it's very like iconic and sexual and all that. And in this, the best joke that I guess they could come up with is the main group of cast members running on the beach in slow-mo, and then Zac Efron trips and falls. That's the ending of the movie. And I'm just thinking, that's all you got. That was your best way to end this movie was, oh, what if he just trips? That'll make fun of the original. And then end credits. Pretty weak choice there, I think. Could have done much more, but whatever. So check it out. You know, if you got some time to kill, I think it's an all right one to try out. And I wouldn't be upset if they make another. I don't think they will, but I'd watch it. So that one is a light 3 out of 5.